Tonight on News 22, grab your sandbags, heavy rains in the forecast.
It's the one-year anniversary of Hurricane Maria. Its impact is still being felt in Puerto Rico.
And efforts are being made to raise awareness for Alzheimer's.
Serving southern New Mexico, this is the award-winning KRWG-TV News 22, where news matters.
Thank you for watching News 22.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Kelly Garcia Moreno.
And I'm Stephanie Mendez. Even though the sky seems to be clearing up, there's still rain in the forecast.
Just to be safe, the Las Cruces Fire Department is giving out sandbags in case of flooding. The sandbags are free and you can find them at 7 different fire stations around town. Each homeowner is limited to 10 bags. These 7 locations you see on your screen, be sure to pick up these before the rain comes in and place them around your doorways to keep large amounts of water from entering your home.
So it seems like the rain is still clearing, it's starting to clear up, but it's still good that they're doing that. Christian is next with weather.
Thanks guys, this is Christian Cermeño with your weather. Currently, Las Cruces is experiencing some slight showers, which does cause for a flash flooding effect, which is going to be in effect until 10 p.m. Our current temperature is going to be 67 degrees, with winds coming in from the north at about 6 miles per hour. Humidity is currently at 62%, with the close dew point at 60 degrees as well. And finally, our barometer reads at 29.71 inches. Taking a look at today's weather, we did have a high of 72 degrees with an average of about 87 degrees, and finally our low is at 58 degrees. Taking it back to record temps, to 2016 we did have a high of 95 degrees, and back in 1971 we did have a low of 58 degrees. We did have some slight precipitation today, which was at 1.03 inches, leaving our yearly rainfall at 3.96 inches. That's all I have for you all. Back to the desk.
A year ago today, Hurricane Maria made landfall in Puerto Rico, and still, many people are feeling the effects.
One NMSU professor hasn't forgotten. News 22's Amanda Adame has more.
Of people, but it was also full
Counseling and psychology professor Dr. Evelis Torres Fernandez is one of the thousands affected by the monster storm, Hurricane Maria. She's a native Puerto Rican who has family on the island. She went home 3 months after the hurricane. She remembers it like it was yesterday.
You could see a lot of the devastation. You know, a lot of trees are down. You could see a lot of the houses without roofs. There's a lot of blue tarps.
But Puerto Rico was not as prepared for the storm as Dr. Torres expected. She says it was chaos.
Hopeless, helpless. We were not very hopeful that things will get better. People were desperate, people were hungry, they were upset. Aid was not coming.
Hurricane Maria was the deadliest hurricane to hit the United States in this decade, but the number of deaths reported at first were thousands off from the final numbers.
Without power, you know, there's a lot of people who have medical conditions who cannot live for long.
The effects are not only in the deaths and physical destruction. Many face mental health issues after their world was turned upside down. That's what sparked interest for Dr. Torres.
At that point in time, when you are in a situation of crisis, you have to separate your persona from your professional persona, if that makes sense.
A year later, there are streetlights that still don't work, infrastructure beyond repair, and hundreds of homes unpatched.
Slowly trying to put their feet back together. I feel that that really speaks about the people of Puerto Rico and the resiliency of the people of Puerto Rico, which I feel that is the most important thing.
The strength of Puerto Ricans will need to last for years and years, as the road to recovery is a long one. For News 22, I'm Amanda Adame.
The federal government is under fire again for losing track of nearly 1,500 migrant children. This is the second time in less than a year that they have not been able to locate unaccompanied children who have been placed in their homes across the country. The Health and Human Service Department recently told Senate staffers about the loss. The department had placed children in sponsor homes to help them adjust to life while they wait for their legal status. Critics are saying that undocumented children are the most vulnerable to sex trafficking. The HHS is still investigating the issue.
The 2 candidates for governor of New Mexico have some major disagreements on how to move the state forward. Democrat Michelle Lujan Grisham says she wants to increase the teacher pay and spend more money on teacher training and public education. Republican Steve Pierce says he wants to take a more cautious approach to improving education. Lujan Grisham says she supports legalizing recreational marijuana if the state can put in proper controls to prevent abuse. Pierce opposes legalization. The two candidates debated last night on Albuquerque TV station KRQE. You can watch the rest of the debate on their website. El Paso is getting a new border wall that will replace the fencing south of downtown. Construction will begin in the Chihuahuita neighborhood and continue east for 4 miles. No information was released on how much the new barriers will cost. Residents say more protection is needed, and some have mixed signals. The chief of the U.S. Border Patrol El Paso sector will be in El Paso on Friday for a news conference to provide more details. A man from Radium Springs is avoiding jail time for charges of aggravated burglary, larceny, breaking into his girlfriend's apartment, and beating her several times. 45-year-old Joe Azure was found out guilty by a jury for the incident that occurred August of last year. The incident left his ex-girlfriend in the hospital with 27 facial fractures and in a coma. The attempted murder charges were dropped because of her memory loss. Azure is still facing a misdemeanor count of battery against a household member from another incident last year. Azure is being held on a $1,000 bond and will appear in court for another trial October 18th.
Las Cruces police are still investigating a fatal officer-involved shooting. They held a news conference today and showed the body cam video.
Police department! Police department! Step out now! I'm gonna send my dog! Step out now!
The Las Cruces is not going to kill me. Charlie killed himself today. I don't want a problem.
Get away from her! Get away from her now!
Shot a 47-year-old Gary Daniel McKinney. McKinney was found armed with a knife wrapped in a glove in his right hand and another glove tied to a ligature that had a slipknot noose and was fastened around his mother's neck. McKinney was commanded to step away from his mother but refused. LCPD officer then fired 2 rounds striking McKinney. McKinney was pronounced dead at Mountain View Regional Medical Center. It was McKinney's teenage daughter who was reported the incident, saying that her father threatened to shoot her and her grandmother. The daughter is currently in the care of social services and the grandma had no severe injuries.
When the Sunspot Observatory in New Mexico closed, plenty of locals wondered why and heard lots of conspiracy theories.
But a just-released federal search warrant shows the reason was serious but mundane, a criminal search warrant. Rebecca Adkins explains.
For nearly 2 weeks, theories loomed over the strange closure of this solar observatory in Sunspot, New Mexico.
Of course, everyone's going to be skeptics and say it's aliens.
With the feds tight-lipped, people forced to evacuate were left clueless.
I just really have no idea.
But with theories of extraterrestrials and government leaks, authorities confirmed it was neither, but rather a criminal investigation.
I'm pretty sure there's a reason that they're keeping it super tight.
Now, this federal search warrant for the property of an observatory janitor hired about a year ago are shedding new light on what was really going on. The warrant states in July, federal agents began searching a child protection database and found child porn linked to an IP address at the Sunspot Observatory. In August, they began speaking to the chief observer at Sunspot, who said he found a laptop running in several empty offices over the last few months. He told the feds what he found on the desktop was, quote, not good, and that it appeared to be child porn. The search warrant states the feds then monitored all the IP addresses and found the exact time child porn was being sent out. It matched only one employee, a janitor. Once that janitor realized his computer was no longer there, the director says he, quote, feverishly started looking through the facility and started making comments about lax security. Said it was only a matter of time before the facility got hit, and he believed there was a serial killer in the area and that killer might enter the facility and execute someone. The director says that's when they became concerned for safety, and along with the agencies that operate the facility, decided to evacuate it and shut it down. Items seized from the suspect's home include cell phones, laptops, SD cards, and thumb drives. We are not naming the janitor because he has yet to be charged. Rebecca Atkins, KRQE, News 13.
Stay tuned, Christian will be back with your national forecast.
But first, an El Paso tourist attraction is ending its ride. More on that when News 22 continues.
At a recent KRWG coffee visit, we talked with KRWG fans about why they value public media.
The fact that you're here in TRC says a lot to me, that you're interested in our community.
KRWG is my major source of information and entertainment.
Please support public radio. If not for yourself, do it for me.
Become a member online at krwg.org or call 1-888-922-5794. Thank you. Registering to vote in New Mexico is easy. Forms are available at Department of Motor Vehicles offices and your county clerk's office. And those with a driver's license or other state ID may register to vote online at sos.state.nm.us. You must be 18 years old at the time of the next election. Voting is a responsibility of citizenship. This message brought to you by KRWG.
Welcome back, you're watching News 22.
Where news matters. U.S. Customs and Border Protection is recruiting new agents at NMSU.
New Mexico State University's Criminal Justice Mentoring Center is partnering with U.S. Customs and Border Protection in the effort. According to a press release from NMSU, the collaboration is the first partnership of its kind. CBP recruiters will be available on campus once a week at Berland Hall. Customs and Border Protection isn't the only organization looking for help. Crowded into the Corbett Center for the 34th Annual Career Expo. Students were given the opportunity to meet and greet with representatives in different careers. It helped them navigate the process of finding a job.
You have a well put together resume if you can, and definitely follow up with any employer that you give your resume out to. If you can, grab a business card, swap information somehow just so you could follow up, because anyone looking for a job and if it actually wants a job will follow up.
The Career Expo will be back next year in September in the Corbett Student Union.
One of El Paso's most well-known landmarks is closed until further notice. The Weiler Aerial Tramway on 5,600-foot Ranger Peak has been a major attraction for the last 60 years. It was originally built to take engineers to work on television towers. For the past several years, it has been maintained by the Texas Parks and Wildlife. A recent engineering study shows it's no longer safe. About 45,000 people rode the tramway every year. September, it's Alzheimer's Awareness Month. There were plenty of high fives and smiles at the Walk to End Alzheimer's on Saturday. People walked around the park to raise awareness while they were cheered on by local high school cheerleaders and volunteers. For many of the participants, it was personal.
I have had several family members pass away because of Alzheimer's, but I also work at Mesilla Valley Hospital, so we're really big on coming out and supporting the community. We'd love to talk about and share about Alzheimer's.
The Alzheimer's Association will be hosting several more walks during the next couple of months.
Sometimes fast food is the only option, but you can still be healthy, even if you grab something from the drive-thru.
Luis Cáceres explains in today's Health Minute.
Eating healthy doesn't have to be hard. When ordering fast food, think veggies first.
You want about half your plate to be vegetables. Look at the sides, look at the salads.
But salads can pack a caloric punch.
Any fried toppings we want to avoid, especially breaded fried chicken, which is a frequent fast food salad topping. We want to avoid oversized portions of cheese. One portion of cheese is about the size of a domino or 3 dice. And consider the portion of the salad dressing too. About 1 tablespoon, maybe 2, and usually an oil-based salad dressing would be your best bet, instead of a whole packet, which might be a 1/4 cup.
Also, skip the fries.
Steer clear of fried options and don't order a soda with your meal.
If you take a moment to consider your diet, fast food can still be healthy food.
Tailor your choices if you're frequently eating out to what's healthy.
For today's Health Minute, I'm Louis Casares.
Christian is next with the weather.gov national forecast.
Now it's time for your national forecast. As we can see here, we do have some tropical moisture moving up from the south into the borderland, and with that, it's going to bring along some much needed drought relief, although it will also bring some localized flooding and some travel disruptions. Now in my next map, we'll be able to see where the moisture will move east further into the United States towards the Panhandle, and it will bring the same delays along with it that it did here in the borderland. And finally, in my last map, we'll be able to see the clear differences between the warm temperatures down here in the south and the cold temperatures up here, as we can see divided by the jet stream. That is it for your national forecast, and I'll be right back right after this break.
Here and now, NPR News Middays, weekday afternoons from noon to 2 on 90.7 FM and streaming live on KRWG.org.
Sierra Leone was the epicenter of one of the deadliest health crises of the modern era.
I need to tell the world how my people survived Ebola.
A portrait of the people fighting to keep their homeland alive. Survivors.
Monday at 9 p.m. on KRWG Public Media.
Antiques Roadshow is discovering treasures in Birmingham, Alabama.
And I really think there's a very good chance that this is actually from life.
Wow. What? Can you repeat that?
My goodness, good heavenly day.
Holy buckets, and I killed a bug with it once.
Tune in to more surprises from Birmingham next time on Antiques Roadshow.
Monday at 7 p.m. on KRWG Public Media.
Welcome back to News 22. Now it's time for our local temperatures. As we can see, we do have Farmington with the warm 77 degrees, Santa Fe with 64 degrees, Albuquerque with a warm 74 degrees, Clovis with 77 degrees, Las Cruces at 67, and finally Deming at 70 degrees. Taking a look at temperatures tomorrow, we do have Clovis at 69 degrees, Farmington at 83 degrees, Ruidoso at 66, Roswell at 78, and finally Deming at 86 degrees as well. Now taking a look at neighboring cities, Alamogordo is going to have some partly cloudy evening with a low of 66 degrees and a high of 84 tomorrow. And now for Truth or Consequences, they're going to have a low of 71 tonight and a high of 85 tomorrow with sunny skies all day. Taking a look at Silver City, they're going to have some partly cloudy skies this evening with a low of 66 degrees and a high tomorrow 79. And finally here in Las Cruces, we do have some stormy skies this evening with a low of 58 and finally a high of 84. Now that's all I have for you all. Back to the desk.
A private plane crash in Texas fortunately left nobody injured.
That's the first story in tonight's Southwest Minute.
The small plane crashed on Wednesday in Arcola, Texas. The local sheriff's office said the small plane wound up in a ditch next to the Houston Southwest Airport. Pilot was the only person on the plane. A Los Angeles charter school was placed on lockdown today due to a nearby shooting. At least 2 people were injured, and authorities say 2 suspects fled the scene. The victims were identified as a student and an employee of the charter school. It's believed at least part of the incident took place at a restaurant across the street from the school. A lion at Fresno, California Zoo bit a man who climbed into its enclosure. The man told police he was frightened when he saw a man with a towel wrapped around his hand, so he climbed the fence into the lion cage. The lion bit his foot. He was treated for his injury and cited for suspicion of trespassing. With the Southwest Minute, I'm Andrea Vasquez.
and sports is next.
Thanks. Thanks, ladies. Coming up in sports, who's ready for the Battle of I-10? You can toss our remote because News 22 will be right back.
Steady.
Friday at 8 p.m. on KRWG Public Media.
Coming up on Austin City Limits.
Saturday at 9 p.m. on KRWG Public Media.
This is KRWG-TV News 22 Sports.
Welcome back. I'm Adrian Chavez, and what time is it? It's sports time. New Mexico State's women's tennis team is just a day away from their first big tournament. The Aggie Invitational starts here tomorrow and will host UTEP, Western New Mexico Mesa Community College, and UT Permian Basin. The teams will be here on campus for the 3-day tournament. The NMSU men's tennis team is coming off a great season opening tournament. The men's tennis team is resting after a long weekend at the Aggie Invitational tournament. Last weekend, at the Aggie Invitational, they played more than 7 matches in 3 days against 5 other teams. For Coach Carlos Vargas, this was a good opportunity to see how his players are improving.
You do when conditions are tough. Conditions are tough on the second day, on the third day, on Sunday, after you play 4 matches and you're hot, you're tired, you're sore, and you still got to come out and play. So I get to see how well you compete under adverse conditions.
The Aggies are preparing themselves for their next tournament this upcoming weekend in Tucson. The Aggies are still looking for their first win of the season. This weekend, they will travel south on I-10 to UTEP for their second rivalry game in a row. It'll be a battle of the winless. Aggies are 0-4 on the season, and the Miners are 0-3. UTEP leads the 104-year rivalry with 57 wins to NMSU's 36. Both teams have tied twice. Former UFC champion John Jones will soon be back in action after drug suspension. The former champ was suspended after multiple failed drug tests. Speculation is he will fight Daniel Cormier, who currently holds both heavyweight and light heavyweight championships. Jones' suspension ends October 28th. The push is on for the fight to happen before Cormier retires. The Aggie athletes of the week are Jess Dominguez of the women's cross country team and linebacker Havon Ferguson of the NMSU football team. Well, let's talk high school football. Tonight, Las Cruces High School is playing a home game versus Gadsden. The game will be at 7 o'clock tonight. Tomorrow is Friday Night Lights. Mayfield will be away playing Carlsbad, and the Oñate Knights and the Centennial Hawks will battle each other at the Aggie Memorial Stadium. Both games will be at 7 o'clock. And that's all for sports tonight. Join us for more sports action next week. Still ahead on News 22, Christian will be back to take a look at your 5-day forecast. But first, arising before the dead of night, this one show is getting its revival. More on that when News 22 continues.
On Wonders of Mexico, mountains dominate the country's landscape, and they host an incredible diversity of life. Mountain Worlds on Wonders of Mexico.
Sunday at 2 p.m. on KRWG Public Media.
A visionary approach to medicine. The needs of the patient come first.
Was invented over 120 years ago.
I couldn't have asked for anything better for her.
Ken Burns presents The Mayo Clinic.
Tuesday at 8 p.m. on KRWG-Public Media.
Let's take a look at our top stories. The Las Cruces Fire Department is giving out free sandbags at 7 different fire stations in case of flooding. After 1 year, an NMSU professor is one of many who is still feeling the impact of Hurricane Maria. Many people were cheered on by local cheerleaders and volunteers as they participated in the walk to end Alzheimer's on Saturday.
CBS announced Jordan Peele will host a reboot of The Twilight Zone for its video-on-demand service. He takes over the narrator role from Rod Serling in the original series, which ran from 1959 to 1964. CBS All Access posted an announcement online Thursday. It includes a mix of Serling and Peele's voices saying the opening narration. The text says the all-new Twilight Zone is coming in 2019. Zone has been rebooted before. CBS rebooted it for 3 seasons in the 1980s and up and did a season in.
Now let's take a look at our 5-day forecast. It may be a little rainy currently, but the rest of the week will bring clear skies with highs in the mid to upper 80s and lows in the 50s and 60s. In my opinion, this is perfect conditions for the Battle of I-10.
Yeah, it looks good that we're finally starting to see some cooler weather here, so it's not so hot. You can catch all of today's aired stories and past newscasts on our YouTube page at youtube.com/KRWG News 22.
And follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat for show updates and the latest on what the News 22 team is up to. And that's all for News 22 Thursday. Thank you everyone for joining us tonight.
Tune in next week for more news from across the Southwest. I'm Stephanie Mendez.
I'm Kelly Garcia Moreno.
I'm Christian Cermeño.
Good night, everyone.
This news brief in Español is brought to you by Noticias 22, Spanish language news for southern New Mexico and West Texas. Noticias 22.
Buenas tardes y bienvenidos a este breve informativo de Noticias 22. Con ustedes, Jazmín Anaya. El riesgo de inundación va en aumento debido a las fuertes lluvias que se aproximan. El Servicio Nacional del Clima ha mandado una alerta de fuertes lluvias que se esperan hoy por la tarde, motivo por el cual el Departamento de Bomberos está brindando costales de arena para los habitantes de Las Cruces. Los costales deben de ser puestos alrededor de las puertas para prevenir la entrada de agua dentro de las habitaciones. Estos pueden ser adquiridos en las estaciones de bomberos. Existe un límite de 10 costales por domicilio y se les recomienda a los ciudadanos ir cuanto antes, ya que la cantidad de costales en cada estación es limitada. Los habitantes hispanos de Las Cruces que deseen iniciar un negocio son invitados a asistir al evento Si se puede Las Cruces. El evento es completamente gratuito y se brinda asesoría legal y financiera para personas que deseen iniciar o expandir un negocio en la ciudad de Las Cruces. El evento será llevado a cabo el sábado 22 de septiembre a partir de las 8:30 de la mañana, en el 2345 de la avenida East Nevada. Aunque el evento estará abierto a toda la comunidad, la mayoría de las presentaciones se realizarán en español. Invitamos a nuestros televidentes a seguirnos a través de nuestras redes sociales. Muchas gracias por acompañarnos. Para Noticias 22, Jazmín Anaya.
Local support for a portion of today's programming is provided by Wells Fargo. Our support of Aggie students goes beyond just banking. By supporting News 22, we're giving back to the community. Wells Fargo. Together, we'll go far.